Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Arsenal's London rivals now suddenly want to sign world-class Gunners defender. Crystal Palace are reportedly interested in signing Arsenal defender Takehiro Tomiyasu this summer. The Gunners are focusing on outgoings at the moment, and a number of players have been made available. Tomiyasu, however, isn't likely to be one of them, but the Daily Mail claim Crystal Palace have shown an interest in the Japanese fullback. Arsenal signed Takehiro Tomiyasu from Bologna 2 years ago, and he is a fan favorite. The Japan international had a terrific start to life as a gunner. He has mostly been great when fit, but injuries have troubled him a lot over the last 24 months. After Arsenal signed Julian Timber in the summer, there was a lot of speculation regarding Tomiyasu's future, with the clubs in Italy interested in his services. Now the report claims Crystal Palace have also shown interest in the Japanese defender, but it's extremely unlikely Arsenal will let him go this summer following Tamber's long-term injury. Tomiyasu, branded as world-class, still has 2 years left on his contract, and the Gunners have an option to extend that by another 12 months as well. We just can't see Arsenal selling Tomiyasu this summer. The Japan international, who ironically was sent off against Crystal Palace in the London derby on Monday, would be a great player for the Eagles, but Mikhail Artata needs him more than ever now. Timber is set to miss most of the season after damaging his ACL, while Kieran Tierney could depart. That means Tomiyasu is now the immediate backup to both Ben White on the right and Zinchenko on the opposite side. With it just over a week left in this window, we think there is just no way Arsenal will let Tomiyasu leave. Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal will not sell their fantastic player even for £170 million. Fabrizio Romano has rubbished claims that Arsenal would be willing to sell Gabriel Magalhaes before the transfer window shuts this summer. The Brazilian has been heavily linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. The fact that he hasn't started each of the last two games has fueled the rumours even more, but Arsenal have already made up their mind. Arsenal signed Gabriel Magalhaes from Lille back in the summer of 2020. The Brazilian immediately became one of the first names on Mikel Arteta's team sheet, and he went on to start 73 consecutive Premier League games for the club. That incredible streak came to an end on the opening weekend of the season when Arteta dropped him to the bench for tactical reasons. Worried Arsenal fans have since been wondering if Gabriel could be sold, but Romano has made it clear that will not happen, not even for €200 million, about £170 million. He said, the first negotiation between Al Ittihad and Gabriel Magalhaes is something that sources close to Arsenal and also close to the player consider almost impossible. Arsenal have no intention to sell Gabriel Magalhaes. They consider him a very important player. My sources yesterday, when I was asking, they told me not even €200 million will convince Arsenal to let Gabriel Magalhaes go. So at the moment, Gabriel is staying at Arsenal. This is very strong and clear. Arsenal are right to keep hold of Gabriel. The Brazilian is a fantastic defender. He has been brilliant for the Gunners over the last 3 years, and his performances off the bench in the first two games of the campaign once again showed his quality. Arteta has already dismissed all the speculation surrounding Gabriel's future by claiming that the Brazilian will play a lot more in the coming weeks. That is great news for Arsenal fans, and it will be interesting to see if the Brazilian will get the nod when Fulham take on the Gunners this weekend. Sky Reporter now shares that a 26-year-old Arsenal player has returned to training. Arsenal star Gabriel Jesus has now returned to training ahead of their match against Fulham on Saturday. A clip shared by Football Daily from Sky Sports News showed the Brazilian international warming up alongside his teammates. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has had some difficult decisions to make in Gabriel Jesus' absence so far this season. In the Community Shield final, he went with the new signing Kai Havertz as his central striker. The German did well, but did miss two big chances in the first half. He was dropped back into midfield against Nottingham Forest, with Edin Ketia given the nod. Nketiah found the back of the net against old teammate Matt Turner that day and then won a penalty on Monday against Crystal Palace. However, Arsenal will be delighted that Jesus has now returned to training following a small operation on his knee. After missing a large chunk of last season after the World Cup, he will be keen to kick this campaign off as quickly as possible. Providing an update on the 26-year-old, the Sky Sports reporter said, "A big boost for Arsenal at the moment, and we will wait to see just how much of a part he takes in this training session. But Gabriel Jesus is going through his warm ups with the team at the moment. The Brazilian forward hasn't featured so far this season. It's been left for Edin Ketia to lead the line. He did that against Crystal Palace on Monday night, but what a fillip it would be for Mikhail Arteta if Jesus was ready to play either some part against Fulham at the weekend or be ready for a huge match against Manchester United the following week before Arsenal head into the international break." The other centre forward option Arteta could have considered was Folarin Balogun. However, he has played no part this season, with speculation over his future intensifying. As Jesus has now returned to Arsenal training, any suggestions that Balogun might be needed will start to dwindle. Mikel Arteta just loves Arsenal 24-year-old's work ethic. He won't be sold now. Arsenal star Edin Ketia has reportedly attracted interest from a number of Premier League clubs this summer, but Mikel Arteta won't let him leave. The Englishman, 24, has started each of the Gunners' first two games in the league this season. He has looked really good, and CBS Sports claims Arteta really admires two parts of his game. Edin Ketia has come close to leaving Arsenal on more than one occasion, but Mikel Arteta has never even entertained that thought. The striker, who has been a gunner for a decade, came through the ranks at high end. He was always prolific at youth level, but he has had his ups and downs in the senior setup. Nketiah officially became a free agent last year after his contract expired, but Arsenal kept on pushing and ended up tying him down to a new deal in the end. The report claims clubs in England showed interest in Nketiah this summer as well, but he will not be sold. That's because of Arteta's admiration of him. It has been claimed that the Arsenal boss is a great admirer of Nketiah's work ethic and his penalty area instincts. He is now expected to play a significant part in the coming months, even after Gabriel Jesus returns from his knee injury. Arsenal star Edin Ketea's work ethic is up there with the best in the Premier League. The 24-year-old works tirelessly every time he is on the pitch. Yes, he is not as prolific as some of the other forwards in the country, but what he brings to this Arsenal side is extremely important. Nketiah's performance off the bench in the Community Shield helped the Gunners get back into the game. He scored against Forest in the season opener, and despite a couple of missed opportunities, he was excellent against Palace on Monday as well. Gabi Agbonlahor thinks Arsenal have made a signing which will be a disaster. Arsenal have been warned that they might have made a terrible signing this summer in the form of Kai Havertz. Pundit Gabi Agbonlahor was speaking on talkSport about Arsenal's acquisition of the German international. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta was adamant this summer that he wanted to bring Kai Havertz to the club. The 24-year-old's future at Chelsea was in doubt, and the Gunners took full advantage. They brought him in for a £65 million fee immediately, putting the pressure on Havertz to perform. Arteta has backed him so far, starting him in all three of Arsenal's competitive games. He was deployed as a centre forward in the Community Shield final against Manchester City before dropping into midfield for both of Arsenal's Premier League clashes. However, Agbonlahor has warned Arsenal that they have made a mistake bringing in Havertz. He isn't sure what he really brings to the team, especially off the back of a difficult year at Chelsea. Gabi Agbonlahor was asked about who would be the worst signing of the summer and said, "The worst? Where do you start? The thing for me, I'm going to choose this player as last season he was poor. Our friend Ali McCoist, I think he's got a crush on him because he always says he is a good player. Kai Havertz. For me, £65 million. I want a player who is going to boss a game. I want a player who is going to look like scoring goals. When I watched him last season, he got in people's way. He literally makes it harder for his teammates to find space. He isn't quick, not a prolific finisher, and he is not really great at getting on the ball and turning. So for me, if I am Smith Rowe, if I am other player in that Arsenal side, Trossard, I'm thinking, Gaffer, come on. I know you paid £65 million for him, but you have got to give me a chance now. So I think Havertz will be one of the flops this season. That's what Agbonlahor said. Premier League club have now held initial talks with Arsenal about signing Gunner's phenomenal 22-year-old. Chelsea have now spoken to Arsenal about a potential deal for Fowler and Balogun this summer, but they are not prepared to pay £50 million for the striker. That's according to a report from 90 Minute, which claims that the Blues remain interested in a possible deal for the forward in the final days of the summer transfer window. Selling Fowler and Balogun would arguably be a big boost for Arsenal ahead of the deadline. The Gunners have spent a lot of money in this window, and bringing in £50 million for someone yet to prove themselves in the Premier League would be a really shrewd piece of business. And it seems that Chelsea are very keen on the USA starlet. 90 Minute reports that Mauricio Pochettino's side have held talks with Balogun as well as Arsenal about a potential move. However, the Gunners are demanding £50 million for Balogun, and so far, Chelsea have not been prepared to spend that much on the youngster. It would be interesting to know what sort of figure Arsenal would be willing to accept if they dig their heels in. When it comes to Balogun, you would think that that would mean that Mikhail Arteta would be happy to hold on to him if the chance presented itself, and that would, in turn, hint that he could play a role for the Gunners this season, but they may be prepared to compromise. Balogun looks to be well down the pecking order as things stand, and Arsenal may not have many better opportunities to receive a huge fee for a younger player this summer. Balogun is a phenomenal talent, but Arsenal need to be ruthless now. They have elevated themselves into title contenders, and thus the transfer fee may be more useful to them if Balogun is not going to play a great deal this season. Arsenal now pushing to sign a 20-year-old league champion. Arsenal are now pushing to sign Barcelona ace Ansu Fati this summer, with his future at Camp Nou in serious doubt. A report from Football Transfers has shared more details about the Gunners' approach for the 20-year-old. Arsenal have already been busy in the transfer window this summer, improving their squad in every area. Mikel Arteta will be delighted with the business they have done so far, even if a serious injury to Jurriën Timber has slightly scuppered his plans. It appears as though Arsenal might not be done in the transfer window though, even if they are concentrating more on outgoings than incomings right now. Arsenal are reportedly pushing to bring in Ansu Fati in the final days of the transfer window. The Spanish international and current La Liga champion hasn't been able to kick on like many would have hoped when he first emerged at Barcelona. Injuries have played their part, but he is still young enough that he could one day reach his full potential. It looks less likely now that he will be continuing his development at Barcelona, and the Gunners may be able to take advantage. The report from Football Transfer suggests that Fati is now seen as being surplus to requirements at Barcelona and is currently on the transfer list. He could also be available on loan as long as Arsenal are willing to cover all of his wages. A meeting is set to take place tomorrow between Fati, his agent, and President Juan Laporta to try and convince the 20-year-old to move on for the good of his career. They go on to say that talks have previously taken place between Arsenal and his agents, and Arteta and his recruitment team are ready to step up their interest. Arsenal are now pushing to sign Fati with murmurings of their interest existing throughout the summer. He managed 12 La Liga starts last season, scoring 7 goals and providing 3 assists, mainly from the left wing. Fati would be providing competition for Gabriel Martinelli at Arsenal and would be an exciting addition. However, the terms of the deal need to be right for Arsenal, otherwise, it makes little sense to sign another wide attacker who prefers playing on that side. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.